I'm Ken. I'm going to show you today how to set up your 64 function Prime controller. Really easy to use, has a touchscreen interface. I'm going to show you how to set up your general settings, your wash packages, and your machines. Really easy to use. So let's get started. Okay, this is your main menu. It has machines, wash packages, and general settings. We're going to go to general settings. This here is your tunnel length that you need to configure and set up so the system knows how long your tunnel is. So let's tap that, and let's make the tunnel 120 foot in length. So now you've just set the system and letting it know how long your tunnel is. This here is your active pulse count for popping up rollers if you're doing it that way. This is set to 12. 12 is a good number for 3 foot spacing or 3 foot 6 spacing roughly. So every 12 pulses, or your fork assembly will be popped up for 12 pulses, which should give you 2 rollers. And min car length. So this is set to default at 2 pulses. Basically what that means is when a vehicle gets in front of the head switch, it will take 2 pulses in order for it to recognize that a car is in the head switch. If you were to set that to 1, what could possibly happen is if an employee steps in front of the head switch or gets in front of it with a prep broom, that could make a false car count. So if you have it at 12, let me do this, and we'll go back and we'll make that 2, and that sets the head switch. Then you have your minimum car length, and let's take that to, well, it's set for 12, so that's 12 pulses. That would be your minimum car length by default. Then you have your max car length. That's set to 50. That's a default. That's a good number if you're going to wash a limousine. You can always extend it out to 60, 70, whatever you like. What that does is makes it so that there's an end point to the longest car you could have go through till the equipment basically says, okay, we hit 50 pulses, that's a full car, and then the head switch is no longer, it's being ignored until the eye is clear. Then you have the rear bumper length, so that's how long you want to say the back of the vehicle is, which that's set for 2 pulses. Then you have the hydraulic timeout in seconds, so that's defaulted at 60. So what that means is if somebody walks up, excuse me, and turns on the equipment and then no action happens, no car goes through, the system will shut itself down after 60 seconds. And this parameter also works when the last car leaves the tunnel. So if there is not another car in the tunnel for 60 seconds, the car wash package will shut down by itself. Then you have the warning horn, which it's pretty obvious. It's defaulted at 3 seconds here. But if you want it to be a 4-second warning horn, you just change it to 4. And the warning horn will sound for 4 seconds before the equipment package will start. And then you have auto pulse. That's set for 3, but you know, we can set it to 2. And what auto pulse does, if you, let's say your pulse kit fails, doesn't work, is not sending pulses to the controller, you can run auto pulse and still be able to wash cars. Here's where you'll tweak it to match your conveyor speed so that everything can turn on and off like it should in the proper timing. Then you have the wet down. Wet down here is defaulted to 60 seconds, which means all the equipment that you want to turn on during a wet down, which basically is your arches that are wetting the cloth. And this feature is, for example, if your car wash has been shut down for a couple days due to bad weather and you want to wet the cloth down before you start washing cars that day. Then down here you have 1 pulse equals 1 inch. This really is just a note box. You can go in here, edit it, and change it if your parameters are different. But it's really just a note. So if you make an equipment change, move a piece of equipment, add something new, and you come here to your general settings, this will give you an idea of what you had already previously figured out is how much movement there is per pulse. Like I said here, it's 1 pulse equals 1 inch of movement. And that is setting up your general settings. Starting from the home screen or main screen, you want to select machines. And this lists all the machines you have. And to navigate through the machines, you just use the next arrow. And it'll take you through the machines. Then we can go back and back to the beginning. So I want to select the air dryer for this example. So let me go next, and we'll select blower 1. And first thing I want to show you is how to change the name of the machine. So if I just click on the name up here, it says blower 1. I'm going to keep it as blower 1, but here's where you can basically erase it, change it, name it whatever you like. So let's go back. And so the first setting for this machine is going to be the position. So this piece of equipment is set at 80 pulses to turn on. If I want to, I can say change it to 70 pulses. And now that blower motor is going to turn on at 70 pulses. Then I need to decide, is this machine I'm working on, which is this one's a blower, is it a default machine? Does it turn on with every single wash package? And for the instance here, it's a blower motor. It's set at 1. Now if I change it to 0, then it's no longer a default machine, and in order to have that turn on, I'd have to select it in my wash package. But it is an air dryer. I'll put it back to 1. And so now that will turn on with every single wash package. Then I want to know, or the machine wants to know, do you want this to turn on for all of the car, half the car, or the back half of the car? And it's simple numbering here. So 0 means that it will be all of the car. 1 would be the front of the car, or half. And 3, if I were to make that a 3, then it would only turn on for the back half of the vehicle. But it is an air dryer. We want it to turn on for the whole vehicle. So we'll put that at 0. And extended pulses. So with an extended pulse, that means how long do you want that piece of equipment, or in this case a blower, to turn on, or stay on after the car has passed by. This one is set for 3. We can kick it back to 2. And so the air dryer, the blower motor, will shut down 2 pulses after the car is passed. Then you have look ahead pulses. This is set for 10. I'm going to keep that at 10. And what that does is looks ahead to see 10 pulses into the tunnel to see if another car is coming. If another car is within 10 pulses of that blower motor, the blower will stay on. It makes it more energy efficient to stay on versus shutting off and then ramping back up. And that's your look ahead pulses. And then you have what we call the soft top. That is an option. It's a button on the terminal that you can add to a wash package. What that would do is basically shut down the blower motor or the machine, whichever you're connecting it to or whatever's wired to it, if that button is selected. So if I make this a 1, now if I select soft top along with the wash package, when the car gets to that blower motor will shut off. The reason why you might want to use that feature is, if somebody has a convertible and is concerned about the air dryer blowing too hard on the top, excuse me, you can use the soft top feature to shut it off. Or if you don't want to have the blower motor running in blowing air into the beds of pickup trucks so that you don't get debris all over the exit end. But I'm going to put that back to 0. And the next function or thing it is asking is this part of the wet down? I had explained that in the general settings what a wet down is, and I guess I'll explain it again. So if your car wash has been shut down for a while and the cloth is dried out and you want to run a wet down, this is basically asking, do you want this to turn on when wet down is selected? It's a blower, so no, we're going to leave that at 0 so it does not turn on. But if we wanted it to turn on, simply just make it a 1, and that will turn on when the wet down is selected. But we're going to go back to 0 because don't need to run a blower motor during a wet down. And panic. That basically is a panic stop, emergency stop, whatever you like to call it. Each piece of equipment or each machine setup, you can tell it what state you want it to be in if emergency stop is pushed. This is set to 0, so if emergency stop is pushed, the blower motor is going to stay on. But if you want that to shut off with an E-stop, just change that to a 1, and that will now shut down when an E-stop is selected. Anti-collision. Anti-collision is similar to an E-stop. Do you want the blower motor to shut off if anti-collision is turned on? If a car doesn't exit fast enough and another one's coming up on it. This is set to 0, so this will stay on in a anti-collision situation. So now here is the normal delay. So if you want this to turn on, because it's a blower motor, you do want this a delayed start, and for programming all your blower motors, you definitely want to stagger your starts. You don't want all your blower motors starting at the same time. That's too much of a draw and could damage equipment. So this one is set to 2, but since it's blower 1, we don't need a delay on that. So we'll put that to 0. Now, when you go to program your next blower motor, you definitely want to have a delay by 2 pulses, or you can, depending on the distance between the blower motors, you can go with 1 just to stagger the draw. So that is your normal delay start. And this last one is a panic delay. So when somebody hits start after the E-stop has been pushed, you don't want your blower motors all to turn back on immediately when you come out of an emergency stop. So here, this has a 2-second delay. I'm sorry, 2 pulse delay, not second. Now this one we can put to 0 because it's the first one. And when you go to do your second blower, you definitely need to stagger that. So like I said in the previous example, you want to at least have that at a 2 pulse start. And that is how you set up your equipment. And then when you're done, you can go back to machine menu and just select a different machine, and you can select basically the same features and how you want that machine to function. So we'll go back to start, and that is setting up your machines. All right, from the main screen, we want to go to wash packages, and all your wash packages are listed. So we'll select wash package 1, excuse me. And I want to change the name. This is just a basic generic default wash 1. So let's give it a name. And let's call it a super. Oh, I want to capitalize that S. So S-U-P-E-R. Hit the E twice. Here we go. So we have Super. Hit enter. I've changed the name of the wash package to Super. So let's take a look and see what I want to come in on that package. So the Super wash, we'll do the CTA underflush. Yeah, let's take the underflush out of there. Also, I want to mention you can use these to toggle up and down too when you've highlighted a option or a machine. The tire brush retracts, that's a function that is outside the package. Wheel blaster, yep, so let's do polish. And let's check the next one, go to the next page. So this is your next set of machines. So we've got drying agent, obviously that's a default. Wind door, blowers, and these are all defaulted on. So this wash package looks good, has been programmed with what I would like to have come in that package. So now we'll just go back to start.